I think we can move on. So, when our next speaker starts with her talk, most of you are going to think, oh yes, she is one of us. She went through the same thing as we did. And it is true, she is one of us. She really went through the same things as we did. But there is one big difference. I'm sure that most of you did not have to experience the same things as she had to. Soon you will understand what I mean. Through these experiences, she has realized something that the majority of us probably forgot. Today she's here to remind us about this. Please welcome on the stage Rita Saleh. I will no longer be victimized.
Thank you. Guys, I'm very happy today. Not because I'm doing the TED Talk. Obviously, no. I am happy that I'm doing this today. But because I just had 2 hours ago my final and last exam. And I'm super happy that this is over. You know that feeling you have when you're having the last exam and you're just like, come on, yeah, last question, that's it, I'm done, okay, bye. And whew, am I right? Like, it's really an awesome feeling. And I remember when I first came here in 2015. I came from Lebanon. I wanted to do my master's in health sciences here at the University of Lucerne. And I remember in December 2015, it was the first semester, and I was doing my exams, my very first exam actually, and at that day, I was already thinking about the last exam I will be having, which is today. That tells you how much I stress about exams. But I also remember the reason why I wanted to pursue this higher education. Leaving my home, leaving my family, coming to a country which I still do not speak the language of. I'm sorry about that. And this whole stressful situation and being a student again, education really helped me overcome a lot of challenges in my life. But for you to understand why education, and particularly like why I chose education to be my tool to overcome challenges in life, I need you to understand or to know my story. You see, when I was growing up in my childhood, nothing much happened. I was an average kid, average mom and dad, 5 sisters and 2 brothers. Yes, we were like a football team. And nothing special happened. Everything was normal, everything was standard. I do remember one thing, that I had a terrible haircut. I don't know how my mom thought it was like a thing. I had a terrible haircut for like 5 years in my childhood. Short bangs from the front, short back hair. I looked like a mushroom from the Super Mario games. I have a picture for you. Yeah, can you tell which one is me? How could she ever? I don't know. But the thing is, it was till the age of 12 years old that things started happening in my life. I remember one day, it was an afternoon, I had my backpack, I was walking my way back home. I was 4 minutes away from home, and I was just going back. And I saw this man behind me. You know, when you're a kid, you don't think about it, who's walking behind you, in front of you, next of you. Even now, no one thinks about it. Who cares who's walking behind me or next to me? But somehow, that man managed to come really close to me. And he managed to put his hands on my shoulder and to grab me very hard. And when I turned around to see who is he, maybe he's someone I knew, but I found out that he had his pants and his underwear pulled down. At that moment, I didn't know what to think or what should I do. I stood still for a solid minute, not knowing what should I do, until I managed to push him away from me and to run. I ran full speed away from him. I didn't look backwards. I didn't want to know if he was running behind me. I didn't want to see it. I was 4 minutes away from home, but because I was so scared, I ran, and I didn't even see my home. I ran past my home. And after 15 minutes of running, I realized, oh, I missed my home. I need to come back. I was so scared. That man took away my childhood and my innocence from me. And I didn't know what to do. I wasn't in control of that situation. I was a victim. In the age of 14 years old, a war started in my country. Not in the entire country, but in specific regions of my country. And I happened to live in those regions. I didn't belong, nor my family did ever belong to a specific political party, nothing. We were neutral. We don't understand politics. We don't speak politics. We don't want any type of war. Who would want war? And I remember that when the war started, we remained home. We didn't move because we are not part of it, so why should we run? But I remember the very first bomb hitting a nearby building of our house. We were home, my sisters, my brothers, my mom, and my dad, and when we heard it, we just ran all over the house. We were screaming, we were crying, we were yelling, we were so afraid. We wanted to reach a room that had no glasses in it or windows because we were afraid the pressure that the bomb creates would shatter the glass all over us. We were sitting on the floor. I wanted to tell them that I'm scared, that I needed help, but I couldn't because they were scared as well. And watching your family, your whole family afraid, and you can't do anything about it, and you're not in control of the situation, and you obviously didn't decide for this situation to happen to you. War just brings defeat and destruction, and it brings the worst in people. And I get to experience that. The following week, we had to run away from home. And I remember my mom and my sisters and my brothers, half of them, they were getting in a car. And I was getting into a different car. And I remember at that moment thinking, oh my God, what if a bomb hits them when we're driving away? Will I see the bomb hit their car? Will I see my mom? Will they die? Will I die? What will happen to me? Where are we going even? I didn't know anything. Again, I was victimized. I was completely afraid. The situation wasn't mine to take control of. It wasn't my decision. And I had absolutely no power over it. And that was it. I was like, this is the worst thing that could happen to me. Seriously, like what's worse than war, right? What could ever happen after this? I was wrong. At the age of 18, I was with my sisters, 2 sisters, and a friend of ours. We were in a car. We had dinner in a restaurant, and we were driving back home. So my sister was driving. I was sitting in the front next to her, and my sister and our friend were sitting in the back. As you can see, it was a highway. Nothing can happen on a highway. There's people all over you, all around you. But there was a car or an SUV who tried to block our road continuously till they succeeded. We were driving and they just blocked our way. 2 men got out of the car with rifles and heavy machinery. I don't know what type of guns they had, but I know it was the long one. It wasn't the small one. And one man came and stood next to my window, and the other man next to my sister's window, and they had their rifles aimed at us. They didn't want to kidnap us, but they did want us to leave the car so they can steal it. At that moment, I was screaming and crying. I was so afraid. I couldn't breathe. I blacked out. And I don't know how, but my sister managed to hit the guy and just drive directly full speed away from them. But the story didn't end here. When she drove, they shot at us, and bullets were going through the car. Physically, none of us got injured. But the fact that after they shot us and we continued full speed driving away from them, they drove after us. They didn't stop till we reached a military checkpoint. Then obviously they had to leave or they would have been get caught. At that point, I was fed up. I said, I will no longer be victimized. I refuse that this is my life. I refuse that people get to decide what happens to me. I want to be in control of what happens to me. I want to choose it. I want to choose when, where, with whom, and what is the thing that happens to me. I wanted to choose. They had their weapons. I needed mine. And at the age of 18, what could I have had? And that's why I really focused on my education. That's what it means to me. It is my weapon that they cannot take away from me. They took away my childhood, they took away my innocence, they took away my knowledge, my understandings of things, my experience as a childhood, as a teenager. They took everything. They're not going to take any more because now I have my weapon. It is a power. It is a great strength that you can have inside you and really no one can ever disarm you of. I don't know what education means to you. I don't know how you overcome challenges in your life. I really don't. But for me, it was my tool. It was my power, my strength that I am in control of. And my mom, her eyes would seriously light up whenever she hears about someone has made it in this world because of education. She made sure that my 5 sisters, my 2 brothers, and I all went to school, to universities, to get that strength in us. Even my dad, as a kid, as a teenager, he used to walk miles and miles just to get to his school. Who does that? For 2 hours a day, just walk to get to school. You see, for people like my dad, my mom, myself, we need this. It's not what the system makes us do. It's not what you just go with it because everyone else goes to school and that's made by the system. No. It is our choice and we need it because we need a force inside us. We need something to help us overcome the challenges. They disarm us of so many things. We need a weapon that we can hold. We want to be a moving power. We don't want to be victimized anymore. I don't know, guys. I would take hundreds of exams every day for the rest of my life, and I wouldn't even be bothered about it. I can't change what happened to me, and nor will I ever forget it. But I do believe in what Nelson Mandela said, and that education, it is your weapon. It is the most powerful weapon that we can use to change the world. But I don't know really about changing the world, but I do know that to me, that my education is my power, my weapon, which no one gets to disarm me of, nor take away from me. In the end, education is a power, it is a strength which you control. Thank you.
That was Rita Saleh with her talk, I Will No Longer Be Victimized. Wow.